Hello, good evening and good afternoon, good morning, everyone, depending where you are. So we are here joined by Dr. Hermon Brahani Ogba Mikael to give us an update on the South Africa election as it is going right now. So we will dive into it right away. First of all, thank you very much, Dr. Hermon, for sparing us your time from your hectic schedule on such a short notice. I would like to say that. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Mahlet.
Good. It's always good to have you here. So, Dr. Hermon. So right away, starting it. So as it is now, first of all, what is the mood in South Africa? And let's start by if you can introduce to us who are these presidential candidates.
Actually, there are about 70 political parties that are contesting in the elections. The main parties are the ANC, which the forefront is the ANC head, actually, President Cyril Ramaphosa. And the other second party is the Democratic Alliance, Mr. John Steenhuisen. He is heading the party, representing the party in the forefront. And third one is Economic Freedom Party, EFF, which is actually headed by Mr. Malema, Julius Malema. And the new party now, very interestingly, that is coming and bringing some interesting times. First time after 1994 is MK, is the shortened form for Mkonta Wesizwe. That is the name actually usually associated with the military wing of the ANC during the struggle against apartheid, and other smaller parties as well.
But these are the four major parties. Okay, so can you, first of all, I would like to say Dr. Hermon Ogba Mikael, he is the head of journalism program at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology in South Africa. So he's really the right person to bring him today to give us an update on this election, South Africa 2024. So can you tell us a bit regarding the organization or the political parties that they're representing? So in terms of ideology, how one differs from the other, and what are they offering to the South African people?
Well, the ANC came from the struggle. So we have some sort of Marxist ideology. It's a bit of dialectical materialism, where, like any other liberation fighters or liberation movements in Africa, most of them were associated with this Marxist ideology, because that is to wage the struggle against any oppression. And the DA hailed from the previous New National Party, but it transformed itself into a democratic alliance with a new dispensation in South Africa. He allegedly actually is associated with the white minority in South Africa. But it has got now more other people from other races joining the party as well, because it's transforming its ideology slowly. Then EFS is simply a radical movement that demands more of Marxist ideology, but Pan-Africanist as well, demanding for the expropriation of land, and and some other radical change in South Africa, demanding for employment opportunities for all South Africans and more. So it's more of a radical movement. MK is just a new party. I mean, you can't see it having a different ideology from the ANC. I mean, I wouldn't call it, I would rather call it a split movement of the ANC. So it looks like the other coin of the other face of the coin of the ANC to some extent. That's why it's heavily contesting against the ANC more than it is contesting against the other parties.
Right now the vote is being counted, if I'm not mistaken, right? So probably we will hear the result soon.
Currently they are busy counting the votes. The voting was actually scheduled for 29th of May, yesterday, Wednesday, and it should have completed by 9 p.m. But there was massive queues. I have also went around some voting stations, and I have witnessed that there were massive queues. It looks like there is a high turnout. People are coming out to vote. So there is a voting, what do you call, mood in the country. Even I saw also so many young people actually coming out as well. That is very interesting because there has been some political apathy, especially in the youth. But now they are busy counting the votes. As far as I know, I think about close to 2 million votes were counted, as far as I think this morning. And then they are continuing actually, and it might be finalized by Sunday. And it seems that the ANC was leading by about 43%, then the DA about 25%, and EFF, I think, closer to 10%. And very interestingly, the new party was moving towards 9%. So we will see what will happen on Sunday when all are counted and accounted for.
But we talk, from what we see in various media, especially the social media, and also currently what from the meetings that EFF has with its supporters, there was a huge turnout. So how come that? I mean, the DA is ahead of EFF. That's something that, that caught me by surprise. So DA has apparently many supporters than EFF.
It could be. Most of the what do you call? Most people in Western Cape, where I am now, they are into DA. Okay, they support DA, and DA also. We should not undermine them. They have campaigned massively also in the Gauteng province and some other provinces. So at the end of the day, then it depends on how much campaign you have made, and are people going also to the voting stations and casting their vote? That is the question. It's not about people going out into the streets, but are they really going to the voting stations and voting? That should be another thing that we have to understand. So it's a very tricky situation. Yes, when you see, I feel that there is massive turnout during the campaigns of the EFF, like in KwaZulu-Natal, in Durban last time. There was massive.
In support of EFF.
Yes, but it could be tricky, and the DA has also a massive voter baseline as well.
Very interesting because Julius Malema, somebody is asking if we have any idea. I mean, if you have any idea who's leading, but you just answered it. So just to repeat it, you said ANC by 43%, DA is following close to 25%, and then you have Julius Malema's AFF and then MK, which are about 9 and 10%, right? That's really interesting. And I read that Julius Malema said that he has a suspicion that they might delay the election day by one day, maybe the counting day he meant. I don't know. But is there anything that came out as a statement? I mean, readings now, this result, which is just under 10 or about 10 for him or for EFF, there is no complaint of that kind from EFF parties so far?
As far as I know, there are no irregularities or any complaints reported. Of course, in some voting stations, as I have said, there were long queues and people actually couldn't vote after 9 p.m. But I think they were given, opportunity to beyond that extended to vote. But at the same time, there were also some reported power outages in some parts and some mechanical problems with the voting machines. Otherwise, there has no any irregularities reported, as far as I know. But we are yet to see. It's a developmental story, and we are yet to see what will happen until end of this weekend.
And how one explain DS vote of close to 25%? Like, how come that's possible in a country where the majority is Black people? It doesn't mean that one has to perhaps elect or give his or her vote per race, but we all know what it is representing. How is that possible? How is that explainable even?
No, you see, there are two things. First of all, I'm sure that there are about over 12 million white population in South Africa, as far as I know. I stand to be corrected. And also there are the colored people, the other race, which also come to some millions who might also vote for DA. Okay, even though historically some of them are also associated with the ANC struggle. Okay. Then we have the other population, the Indian population as well in the KwaZulu-Natal, which have their choice as well. Okay, but very interesting that you need to know. The first time, from what I observed in post 1994 after apartheid, people were very associated with the ANC or any Black party, but the youth now have changed their mentality in terms of who to vote. They don't look into Black or white. They look into employment opportunities. There is load shedding in the country. Who might resolve these problems? There are issues of corruption that people are not happy with. So there is service delivery. There are several other factors now that may actually influence people to vote who they want to vote. So it's not about Black or white anymore. It, even though, I have seen some comments, for example, some Black youth saying that even though my family had ties with the ANC, but now I voted for DA or for EFF or whatever. So things have changed to some extent. And it will change, of course, depending on how these political parties perform in the next few years.
And for first time, I think, according to as per my reading, that the ANC might lose the majority vote or its popularity, then which will still it is leading as it is happening in the counting, but it might be forced to create a coalition. And so, if so, are they going to do it with the DA or what?
No, I don't think they can do a coalition. Of course, they will not. It doesn't seem that the ANC will win as outright majority. So it means they might have a coalition government, but the coalition, I don't think it can be with DA or EFF or MK for that case. The coalition may be with some other smaller parties. As I have said, there are 70 political parties that are contesting. So they might form some coalition with some smaller parties rather than with those big
Is there any chance for
competitors.
EFF to form, for ANC to form coalition with EFF?
I don't believe so. Yeah, there are some thin differences, ideological differences. They have said the ANC is to some extent lenient. It's not very radical in their stance, especially on the land issue. But EFF is very, what do you call, radical in the transformation of the political landscape in the country, especially in terms of the question of land and the question of the state taking over the what do you call big corporates like the parastatals, for example, and so on. So what I'm saying is there is some sort of differences ideologically between the two. So I don't think so that can happen.
So there was some Western, published articles which said Russia is helping for Cyril Ramaphosa to win second term. How much of that is true or could be true?
Yeah, personally, yeah, the Western media is always
Yeah.
with an agenda. So I don't buy their agenda. Yeah. So it means they are actually trying to promote whoever they want to promote in South Africa, and such interference is uncalled for and very detrimental. The South Africans have their own nation, and they can vote who they want to vote. They don't need anybody else to influence them who they need to vote. Yeah, so that is very brutal. Actually, the same Western media were accusing the the government that they are aligned to Russia and so on. So so it has to do with their political, what do you call, meddling and interference in trying to create some sort of hidden agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Herman. But I just gave a chance to our audience here. I mean, thank you very much for rooting and tuning in here, direct and live. We have okay, Black, thanks again, for reminding our people here to like, share, and subscribe. Advantage Sing, that's okay. And then there was somebody who asked regarding the vote as of now. You explained that. Let me see if the DA is extremely well funded by the West and Israel apologists. They are really totally against, against all what South Africa is now. The ruling parties now, whether it's the BRICS, their stance against, taking Israel to the ICJ and everything that what this government do, they really oppose. So it's clear that those two are some things that do not go together. Okay, yeah, somebody said interested in the results. Well, you said it might take up until Sunday, right? The result. But
Yeah,
that's far,
let's wait
in
until
such a technological time, up to Sunday, like 3 days counting, that means, or 4 days. Actually, that
no,
makes
it's not.
sense.
Yeah, if the number of voters is 27 million, and there are technicalities also. It's not only about counting. There are other uh, nitty gritty inside the election activities. So it has to be properly counted and accounted for. So it's not far. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're busy
Okay.
counting. Yeah.
No, thank you very much, Dr. Herman. I know you have a lot to do, and thanks again for being here. We always, we're at Connect Africa. We're happy to have you here and for your analysis. And hopefully, you will join us again once we know the result and in terms of how that elected government will continue. But I think 90% can we say that ANC might still be elected. That's what it shows. I mean, it's a very big difference, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, then. Thank you. Thank you again. It was good to have you here. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, share it with your network. And if you want to help us further, you can go and donate to our PayPal account, which is in the description section. Yeah, thanks again and have a good evening. Ciao, ciao. Thanks, Dr. Herman.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.